Welcome to Boulder and Timber Retaining Walls. This video is the fourth in Progressive Video's landscaping series. During this video, we will introduce you to the various types of boulder and timber retaining walls and guide you through the construction process step by step. The walls that we will discuss are constructed to stabilize slopes, control erosion, or to provide raised planting areas. The rock retaining walls that we will discuss are dry stacked walls that are built with neither mortar nor cement. These walls are both long-lasting and attractive. As with all other landscape elements in your yard, the walls are first established on your landscape plan. Begin by going outside to determine where the wall is to be placed. Next, draw this information to scale on your landscape plan. If you don't have a landscape plan, we recommend that you view the plan video in our landscape series. Next, determine the elevation of the wall. This is done by first installing a wood stake at the height you want the top of the wall to be. Attach a string line to the base of the stake and extend the string to the level where you want the base of the wall. Then, hold the string level and measure the distance from the ground to the string. Do this in several places along the trace of the wall to determine the average height of the wall. Multiply the average height by the length of the wall to calculate the square footage of the face of the wall. Remember, timbers are ordered by the individual unit or by the bundle. One 6-inch by 6-inch by 8-foot timber has 4 square feet of surface area. Boulders are ordered by the ton, and 1 ton covers approximately 20 square feet of surface area. If you find that the total height of your wall is going to exceed 4 feet, we recommend building additional walls. Space the walls at least 4 feet apart. This will provide room for planting beds. Lay out on the ground where your walls will be located. If you need to excavate or cut into the hill, now's the time to do it. If you're going to build the wall on grade and fill behind it, determine the amount of fill needed by multiplying length times width times average depth to obtain cubic feet of fill required. You may want to consider renting a small skid loader to reduce the amount of hand digging necessary. You should store the backfill material behind the wall if you're building a boulder wall. For a timber wall, just locate the backfill in a handy place that will be out of your way. Now let's discuss timber walls in detail. We'll cover boulder walls later. Begin construction of your wall by running a string line along the length of the wall to keep the base course straight. It's important to choose uniform timbers. This will make all phases of your project easier. The proper installation of the base course is critical. It's essential that the first timber of the base course be installed at the wall's lowest point. Once you've located the lowest point, dig a trench about 10 feet long, 3 inches deep, and about 1 foot wide. Set the first timber in the trench and level it. Firmly compact the trench and re-level the timber. Ensure that the timber is both level and just touching the base course string line. Drill 2 3/8-inch holes for the rebar. Drive a rebar through each hole until the rebar are flush with the surface of the timber. Then reconfirm the level of the timber. Install the next base course timber the same way. Toenail it to the first timber with a 6-inch spike, drill the 3/8-inch holes, and drive in the rebar. Continue this process until the entire base course is completed, or until the next timber will be completely buried in the trench. Step up the base course by overlapping the next timber by 2 to 3 feet. This new timber will become part of the second course. Offset it from the timber below by 3/4 of an inch back into the slope. This is how you'll angle the wall back into the slope. When you encounter corners, plan to overlap each course as you build the corner. Carefully measure and cut the desired angle to ensure a smooth, tight joint. Toenail and spike each corner joint as you go. If your wall's to have steps, now's the time to locate where they will be. We recommend the inside measurement of the steps be at least 3 feet. Cut the step timber 12 inches wider than the inside dimension to allow 6 inches on either side to rest on the timbers below. You should plan for 1 step every course. This will result in 6-inch risers. We recommend that the tread be 12 inches. Use your base course as your first step. Abut 2 2-foot timbers to the back of the base course to begin the step. Ensure that they are perpendicular to the base course with an inside separation of 3 feet. These timbers should be anchored on native soil. Install them by first toenailing them to the base timber. Next, anchor them to the compacted native soil with rebar. Take a timber at least 4 feet long and install it for the next riser. Before you toenail it, be sure it's exactly 12 inches from the leading edge of the riser below. Then toenail and install 12-inch spikes to anchor it. Let us show you some examples of completed steps. Please note that landings can be filled with concrete, brick, or decorative rock. Continue building the wall. If you had to step up the base course, we'll start there. If not, we'll start at one end of the base course. Align the timber for the 3/4-inch setback and overlap the joint below. Next, toenail it to the timbers below with 6-inch spikes. Anchor the timber to the course below using 4 12-inch spikes, one on either side of the joint and 1 spike at each end of the timber. We'll use this technique with all of the wall timbers. Dead man anchors are timbers that extend perpendicular to the wall back into the slope. When they're buried, they provide support for the wall and increase stability. A dead man should be installed at the end of each timber on the second course and at the end of each timber on every other course thereafter. Also, as the height of the wall increases, the length of the dead men should also increase. The top course should have no dead men. Finally, use a piece of scrap timber at least 2 feet long for a cross tie. Anchor this to the back of the dead man with a 12-inch spike. As the wall is being built, backfill and compact after every 12 inches of wall height. When your wall is finished, fine grade the backfill to provide the surface you'll need. Now, let's look at some options for rock walls. Keep in mind that the principles for building timber walls and boulder walls are the same. Here are 2 basic types of rock. The first includes flat slab rocks, either a type of flagstone or moss rock. Both are attractive and relatively easy to work with. The second category includes different types of boulders. You will generally find that the choice will be between an angular boulder or a more rounded one. When making your choice, consider the height and length of your wall. For walls 3 feet or over that are retaining significant weight, we recommend that you choose larger boulders. For lower walls, smaller boulders or one of the flat rock types may be more appropriate. Try to choose a type and size of rock that will fit the project. Visit your rock and boulder supplier to get an idea of the options. Prepare the site as we discussed for timber walls. Then, paint the footprint on the ground with marking paint. Cut a trench 4 to 6 inches below the surface for the footer or base course of the wall. The footer trench should be on either firm native soil or on compacted base. To begin the wall, lay out your rocks over a wide area. You're building a jigsaw puzzle with rock, and it's very helpful to have them both close at hand and easy to see. Construct the entire base course first, using the largest rocks for the base course. The base course should also be partially buried in the trench. When you position each rock, try for the tightest fitting joints possible. This will enhance stability and retard erosion between the joints. The wall should be inclined back into the slope at a rate of 1 inch to 3 inches per foot of wall height. If your wall is being constructed from slab rocks, try to keep each course as level as possible. In all cases, the uppermost surface of each rock should be either level or tilted slightly back into the slope. Backfill and compact by hand as you go. Also, soak the backfill material occasionally. This will help it compact and settle in. Avoid mechanical compaction. The use of this machine may loosen the joints of the wall. Leveling each course is not as critical with boulder walls as it is with slab rock walls. However, strive to keep it generally even and recognize that level becomes important as you approach the top of the wall. For all walls, the joints of one course should be overlapped by the rocks of the next course. This will increase the strength and prevent erosion. If you plan steps in your wall, you're going to be constructing 2 walls with the steps integrated between them. The steps should have a fairly uniform tread of about 12 inches. The rise for each step should be between 6 and 8 inches. The width of the steps should be a minimum of 3 feet. Your wall will need to turn into the hill and begin to overlap the end stones making up the treads and risers. Another option is to use timbers for steps through boulder walls. This shows it more clearly. All soil beneath each of the stairway stones must be compacted, and all backfill must be firmly compacted as you go. You will see that different looks can be obtained by using different techniques. Also, you'll find it easier to fit the rocks together if you minimize the angles at the top of each course. When your wall begins to run into a slope at one end, feather the wall into the slope by partially burying each course as it meets the slope. If you have joints with gaps that are otherwise unavoidable, use small rocks inserted from the back of the wall to fill the gaps. As you begin the last few courses of your wall, you need to begin considering the level of the wall and the top course. Install a string line that marks the top of the wall and begin choosing your rocks with the top course in mind. Also, begin reserving a stock of nice flat rocks for cap rocks that will finish off the wall. The cap is the final course of the wall that finishes the wall both aesthetically and functionally. It should just touch the level string line that indicates the top of the wall. Do your best to make flat, very tight joints for the cap. Try not to use small stones as cap rocks, since they can be very unstable and easy to dislodge. We hope that you will enjoy your boulder and timber walls for years to come. We'd like to thank you for spending this time with us, and we hope that you found this video both enjoyable and helpful. To order additional videos in our landscape series, please use the enclosed postcard and we'll get them to you as soon as possible.